Yeah, I think we're on. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Yeah, there we go. We are live and in color. And, man, it's been a while. I hope you guys have been all right. Back on it now with a live stream. Whew, uh, sorry it's taken so long. But we're here. I'm learning how to Skype, doing this thing, live streaming and recording video that I'll upload in case the live stream for whatever reason isn't working. If one of you guys are out there, send me a message in case you can't hear it. Um, Ain't nobody listening right now, but whatever. All right, so I hope you guys have been healthy. We're almost out of this thing. With me today, I'm going to be doing some catching up with a buddy of mine. Some of you may know him. Some of you will get to know him today. Luis G from way back in the day. Well, it's not fair to say from Lavia, ¿verdad? But that's where it all started. Band from TJ, who I think were rock stars. But we're talking back. How long, dude? Was it 15 years ago? No, 10.
Well, I think it was a little bit more because Labia started in 2003, so must have been around 2006 or 7
Yeah.
when we met, I think.
Wow. Yeah. You're old, man. You're getting there.
I know. I know. I remember oh, first of all, thank you for having me.
No, thank you for being on.
And just like what's it called, like PSA. It's been a while since I talk in English for this long, so I do apologize. That's the call center guy in me
No,
apologizing for the inconvenience.
no problem. We'll get something. You'll send me something free in the mail for my inconvenience or for my troubles, right?
Sure. So right now, just to begin, uh, salud. We're gonna have some um, liquid courage
Yes.
for this interview, and it's not a talk with Danny if you're not drinking bourbon. So salud.
Yes, salute. I'm gonna bring mine out here in a little bit, but normally our last, and we'll get into it in a second here because we got a lot to go over, and it's not that we haven't been talking lately. If some of you know, I now live somewhere else, but I'm basically, let's just say we're basically neighbors with Luis, and so we've been uh, having a lot of great conversations, and hopefully this is going to be a new one, a good one as well. Like I said, we got a lot of catching up to do, but we, of course, definitely want to make it a conversation pertinent to the Common Rule podcast. And I promise we probably won't be here talking about old blues conversations and getting into muddy waters and stuff. We might, but we're not gonna. Some of you might tune out, fucking going through R.L. Burnside conversations about how Eric Clapton might be a little overrated and. But anyway, um, just a little background. I met Luis. Yeah, it's been around somewhere about 15 years ago, and it was back in the day when I was hanging around with Transfer, being a little groupie with Transfer, and something magical happened, and you guys ended up hitting it off and playing a few shows together. And that's where I met you. You went up there and played a couple of shows in San Diego, and then you guys had a couple of shows down here in TJ, and then one really cool big show on Revolution. Luis was the guitar player, and Labia was a great band, but unfortunately, like all great things, everything kind of ends up, good things come to an end. And since then, Luis has been keeping busy. And back in the day, Luis and I we talk a lot about blues, and started getting into a conversation. And Luis had a radio show here that, well, we'll just say it's on hiatus. Is that fair to say? Because it looks like we're probably going to start it up again soon. Um, he had a
That's right. Yeah.
he had the radio show called Nothing But the Blues, but in Spanish, it's Nada Más que el Blues. And hey, it was a very educational show on public radio. Actually, can you? How did that get started? How did you get started with that show?
Well, it all started. Well, my love for the blues started like, I don't know. I was like in sixth grade or something, and I remember that my dad brought home some CDs, and one of them was BB King and Friends, something like that. And from there, I just started like looking around to see what I could get my hands on when it comes to the blues. But with the show, what happened was that I started like with all the like platforms where you can listen to music. I really, 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 really got into the blues. So that's when I met like I discovered like Lightning Hopkins,
Yeah.
and that just opened the whole world in my head. You know, it's like how come I was around, I don't know, I was like 35, 34 years old, and I was amazed that I didn't know about this music before. So I started like researching a lot, and then I found that there was no where you could listen to the blues. Well, here in Mexico, right? Um, so I started like making this playlist for me. So the opportunity came when, well, I sent like a little resume, and I asked the people from this radio station here in Tijuana, and I told them like, I have the idea for a show which is not only about the music. It's also like to educate people on the blues and on all of these great artists from which are a part of history. It's like so much of the music that we listen today comes from the blues. So I sent a demo, like a 15-minute demo of me just talking about the blues and play some music, and they liked it, and so they gave me an hour a week. We were broadcasting it from over here in TJ, and it was on Mondays at 8 o'clock. So we established kind of, it was a good fan base. Lots of people were tuning in every Monday, and we hit it off really great. And it lasted for 2 years. So right now, I've been talking with the manager from the station to see if we can bring it back, because I have some other issues, like the work that I used to have and everything didn't left me any time to do the show, and I didn't want to like make a mediocre show, because I really, really every show was well researched, and the playlist were like it was always like a subject. It wasn't only a musician. It was sometimes, I don't know, like for example, like songs about drinking, or songs about sex, or songs about I don't know, like prison. And every week I used to do this whole research and try to come with a playlist, and like give out a, I don't want to say like a class. It was like more like showing off the research that I made during the week, and try to fit it all in a 1 hour format. So it was a great show, but we didn't have the time to keep doing it. That's why right now that I have a new job and I have more free time. So we're back. We don't have a date yet, but it's coming back. So we let the people know when they can tune back on.
Yeah, man. Of course, I was a devout listener to the show, and man, I'm glad to hear that it's coming back. Were you surprised at how many people were actually listening to the blues? Maybe not just necessarily in TJ, but in Mexico overall.
Well, yeah, because when I was trying to come up with more ideas for the show, um, I used to get like inspired by some other radio shows that I couldn't find any, but I found some people in Mexico, mostly in Mexico City, that they were like listeners, and some of them sent me like requests and something like that. But most of my response was from the state, and that actually got to me even more. That people from the states were they all liked the show that I made, because you could find some podcast or you can find some playlist on Spotify or something like that, but they were just music. It wasn't a show about um, like educating people on the blues. And even though it was in Spanish, because it was a public radio from Mexico, I used to have a lot of people like from Europe or from the States, and from Mexico. I remember like here in TJ, I had some people calling and everything, but in Mexico City, that's where most people were calling or leaving messages or requesting, and they all have the same thing to say. It was like, thank you for bringing this music back, because it was hard to get your hands on some good blues here in Mexico. So thank God for the internet. So that's how I started discovering more artists. And but here in TJ, there are some people that like the blues, mostly like older people. But for younger people, I like to think of myself as young people still.
Yeah,
but
me too.
I have some response. There were some people that used to like the show and everything, but most of the response that I got here in TJ was from older people. People closer to my age were the people from Mexico City. Lots of people from California, because the radio station could be listened live in San Diego, some areas, and some people just discovered it by chance, and some other, we created like a little Facebook page, and they were getting new followers and everything. So they were pretty bummed out when I posted that was going to be the last show. Well, actually, you were in the last show. You were a guest on the last show of the, well, how can we call it, the first incarnation of the show?
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much. I mean, it really was an honor being on something that, of course, if you guys don't know, some of you do know, I'm quite the connoisseur of the blues, if I don't say so myself. But yeah, Luis and I have long conversations before that, during that, about the blues, and I was just really, really stoked that I was part of the show. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it's safe to say, or better to call it, that it's on hiatus. It's not really over. They're going to get version 2.0 here pretty soon, I hope, in one way, shape, or form. But yeah, I too was. Uh, I think this is a great example of putting something out there that you're passionate about and not really knowing what people's reaction is going to be, or what kind of feedback you're going to be, or if anybody's going to be listening at all. So it's safe to say that you weren't expecting that big a following um, for the show, especially in the states, sort of thing, huh? I mean, it seems like it was a nice surprise.
No, it was because well, I never thought that people from, let alone the states. I mean, people from Europe were like listening to the show, and they were like sending me emails or messages. Um, I just wanted to make a radio show, and the good thing about that radio station when we did the show, it was on FM radio, So most of public radio, you only get it on AM radio, if you get it at all.
Yeah.
But over here, he was on FM radio station. So I I like the platform and the exposure that we got because of that. And for me, every week was a surprise. I mean, I remember the first time somebody called in and they wanted to like talk to me, and I just couldn't believe it. I mean, they're listening right now. So sometimes when 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 I started doing the show, to be honest, it was for me. It was like, this is the music that I like, and this is the kind of radio shows that I would like to hear. So I was doing it for me. If people were listening, that was like a big plus for me. But once I realized that there were people like every Monday, even in the morning, they were like, "Oh my God, tonight it's gonna be great. I wonder what you're gonna talk about tonight." Or I used to like on Instagram every Monday morning I will post what the show will be about, and people were responding to that. So um, it was for me, it was a great experience. I've always loved radio since I was like a little kid. I always wanted to have my own radio show,
Yeah.
and I had some experience in that because what we used to have, I like to consider myself like a pioneer on internet radio shows
Yeah.
because I don't know, it was around like 2006 or 2007. Me and my friend from school, we were in college. We were studying like communication over here is like kind of like TV, radio, journalism, all that. And we started like in a little internet radio station over here in Mexico. But back then, the show was about rock and roll music. It was kind of on the same line. We used to play music from like 1950 till like 1979, something like that. We didn't play any 80s music and everything like that. And every show was about that, but it was about rock music. It was classic rock. It was all this, and but it was the same. We used to make a research on the band or the type of rock music that we were playing over there. And every week it was him and I. It was the two of us, and that was the first show that I did on my own. So that was a challenge for me as well because I was used to having my friend Hansel um, like on by my side, like getting that immediate feedback from him, and just talking shit, so for the first time, it was like a big experience for me because for the first time I was alone. I couldn't cuss in the air, so it was all really 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 tight. Like uh, sometimes I just wanted to yell like "fuck yeah" or something like that, and I couldn't do it right because it was public
Yeah.
radio. But it was a learning experience for me. So from there, I just got used to making the show by myself. Eventually, I will have some guests or invite some people because sometimes you do run out of ideas, or sometimes you need to get that feedback from the people. So sometimes I will. Uh, there was an operator on the station, and sometimes I was talking about a band or something, and I would ask him. He will open his microphone and just talk back to me because I do like having a partner on the show, but it was also good, like to be like the whole responsibility. It's on my shoulder. That's why it was a great experience, and I look forward to doing it again.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people look forward to hearing it too. When you stopped doing that show, there was a. What did you end up doing to stay creative, or what were you doing um, uh, to keep some artistic and creative things flowing? Because it's still a little hiatus, and I wonder because it's not like you stopped making set list or program shoes. I I assume that you needed to stay creative somehow. What did you end up doing after that for a little bit?
Well, I still do it. I'm always listening because in my mind, I always knew that the show would come back. So what I've been doing is like sometimes I don't know if this happens to you. Sometimes when I don't know working or anything, I put some music right, and when a song comes up, I'm like, oh man, that's gonna be perfect for the show, and I like make a note and or start listening to that and creating a playlist. So I have like another year of shows in my mind right now.
Oh,
So
okay.
I know, yeah. So there's a thing. I'm always looking when it comes like in the area of your podcast about the creative process and everything. For me, since I started like being active in like music and the local scene and everything, that was well 18 years ago. And I remember when I was in the band, everything always everything I was trying to get inspiration for everyday life or some people on the street or something I watched on TV or something like that, and I was trying to put it into music, right? That was back then. After that, when the band ended up splitting and everything, I didn't have that. So what I started doing was I was trying to get like in more projects. I started with some other friends, and there was a bar here in Mexico that was called the Mofo Bar, and I was the DJ for that bar. So after that, they had like a little like radio station from the internet, and as soon as I saw that, I wanted to jump in and started making the show over there. So after the band, I was getting all my inspiration to do that radio show. So when that ended up, well, it ended. What I did was I started another band with some other friends, and I was always trying to get all the music that I had in my mind or the ideas that I had. I couldn't stop creating it. I mean, there's no way you can pause it for a while, but it's like an ache that you have that you need to get that out for the people. So there were times when I didn't have a band or I didn't have a project to work on. And what I did is just I took my guitar and I just recorded things on my phone. So I'm gonna save this, I'm gonna save this, and I had all these little notes on my phone about doing things. And dude, I mean, I even consider like making like a stand-up comedy show. Like I had all these
Oh
things to
wow,
say,
really?
and I had all these things, yeah, all these subjects that I needed to talk about, and I never got to do that. I think it's like I don't know if it's like unfinished visions that I have. I don't know. I don't feel like, well, I don't think everybody will be interested in what I have to say when it comes to stand up comedy, but I know that there are people there that would appreciate like a podcast or something. That's why I'm trying to do that. And when all that was over, when I didn't have like a project or music or anything on the creative side of me, because I was at school, I wasn't finishing my degree, and I had other shit on my mind, and I couldn't focus on the creative side of that. What happened? I don't know. It was crazy, man. It was like I started cooking, and I didn't know that I knew how to cook. And when you start to see that from following a recipe, you can make something that's fucking good. Not to toot my own horn, but I can make a mean food. I mean, I can cook, and the thing is that I didn't know about that. So what happened then? I started getting inspired, and all my focus was on creating recipes and food, and that's how it became. I mean, I'm always trying to create something out of what inspires me, and most of the times it comes back to the blues, but in food in particular, I mean, it was a great surprise, not just for me, like for everybody that knows me, because nobody knew I knew how to cook, not even me. So that's what I'm doing. I just can't stop creating. It's like something that needs to be done, because if I don't do it, I don't know, I'll go crazier than what I'm already
Yeah,
am.
you know what? I'm really glad actually that you uh, jumped into cooking. I was having a conversation with someone a while ago, and I was trying to let them know that cooking is another way to be creative. It is another sort of outlet for whatever creative vibe you got going on, and it really is to me like playing a guitar or making photographs. I mean, I fucking can't stop talking about my Instapots. Ever since I got my Instapots, man, whew, today I killed it today. I made some Insta. Oh man, I made some soup today in the Instapot, and whew, but it is a. I was with you as far as cooking. I cooked a little bit er, early on, a while ago, but when I decided to really start to get going, it's exactly like you said. It ends up being just another creative outlet to be. Uh, one, it's just good to learn, and two, it's healthier overall. I was telling you, I was eating way too much fast food, but we'll get into that some other time. But yes, cooking is, I think, uh, I think what we need to drive home, I think here, just overall, is that you should try new things, even though you think you might not get some sort of immediate return off of them, like be it a radio show or learning how to cook. What triggered you? What made you? What gave you the spark to say, "Hey, you know what? I got to start cooking." Where did that come from? I mean, was it all of a sudden, or is that something you'd been thinking about?
Well, it's kind of a, I don't know, it's not a great of a story, but it all started. Well, me and my wife, we were always like buying like food on the street and everything. And I remember, I think it was on 2019, 2018. It was like in January. No, it was February, because it was for the Super Bowl. Some friend of ours were gonna watch the game here in my house, and they say, "Well, what should we eat?" And I say, "Well, let's make some like chicken wings. We just buy them and we'll just cook them, right?" So I got on YouTube, and me and my wife started looking at videos and everything, and we kind of looked at each other and we're like, we could do this. So we bought the chicken wings and we brought it home, and we started cooking, and they were good. I mean, my wife's already a great cook, but I didn't know I was. So we were playing around with the recipe and making all that. And when it came to the like, well, so we had the wings. So what we're gonna put on them? And I wanted to buy some barbecue sauce for my wings. And I went to the store and they didn't have any. So I got on YouTube again, and I like how to make barbecue sauce. And I found a video of a guy just, all you need is this and that. So I looked around and I got all the ingredients, and we started making this barbecue sauce. And when it was done, we tasted it, and it tasted great. We watched the game, and we had the food, and they all say like, this barbecue sauce is pretty good. And that was the end of it. It was me and my wife like following a recipe to have some food for our guests. Couple of months went by, and some other friends came to my house, and what I did was like, oh, we can have some chicken wings again because we have this recipe and all that, right? So we did it again, and they really liked the chicken wings. They were like, the sauce is great. How come you? They were all surprised that we had done the sauce ourselves. So after that, some time went by, and I started like looking from for some other recipes online. And I don't know. Well, I remember it was a day that my wife Adriana, she went with some friends, and I was in my in-laws' house, and I had my laptop, and I was listening to some music, and there's a song from Lightning Hopkins called "Black Cat Bone," and I was listening to that, and I'm like, "Black Cat Bone, Black Cat Bone," and I played the song again, "Black Cat Bone." It stuck in my head. And then I was listening to Muddy Waters, and he also said, "I got a black cat bone," and I'm like, "There's that again, black cat bone." And I don't know, it just stuck in my head. And I got my laptop, and I remember I started like playing around in my computer, and I came out with the logo for the sauce that we started making. It wasn't even an idea that I was thinking about. It just came on that exact moment. And I came with that black cat bone barbecue sauce, and I started like researching not only from the songs, but like what is black cat bone. And I started like researching, and I found all the story behind that, and all the folklore and everything. I don't know, the South always like spoke to me. It was always like on the back of my head. So we started developing this brand. Like, it's not only the barbecue sauce, but it's also like the way that we cook it, and the ingredients that's on it, and everything came out because of this song from Lightning Hopkins. So everything I do when it comes to the brand or the style of cooking that I'm making, it's always inspired by that. I don't know how to put it in words. It's like, um, for me, I'm giving you like the blues on a plate. I don't know. It's hard for that. And we started tweaking the recipe, and we came out with our own recipe for that. And that's when we started the Black Cat Bone brand. And from there, we've just been experimenting with everything. Back then, I didn't know how to cook like ribs or anything like that. It was just a sauce. But after that, um, I just started researching and learning and develop our flavor and spices and everything. But it's always like I always have the blues on my mind when I come up with a recipe. I don't know. It might sound crazy, but it's just what I have on my head. It's always that. It's always like I couldn't stood still. And when I listened to the song, I knew there was something there. And I just wanted to bring it from the music to the food. And some people that have tried it. I mean, I have some people that have eaten like barbecue in like Texas or something like that, and they tell me, I mean, is the, like the same flavor from there.
Yeah, I mean, I've had it and it is delicious. You've not to uh, make it sound like, oh shit, I'm so surprised about it, but um, your barbecue is really good. I mean, and it's just I think the added dimension to it that the adds the surprise is that when you think of Tijuana, when you think of TJ, the last thing you think about is barbecue. You think about all the great food. You think about Revolution. You think about tacos and tacos and tacos, um, and Caesar salad. But you don't get this hit with this barbecue, and it is very surprising to see that uh, you make great barbecue in TJ, and I've been able to parlay that into uh, a business that's a small business. You're growing, and um, how well, let's before we get into that, because it seems like how did the growth of your business did it how did it get affected by this shutdown, this pandemic sort of thing?
Oh, dude, we got hard. We got like hit hard, man. We were kind of getting some people. We were working a lot, before 2020. It was all through 2019, and in 2020, well, no, I think it was around September or October 2019 that we started selling food, and the people were was liking all that. We were having lots of orders. Like every week, like, well, those are big numbers for us, right? Like, I don't know, 15 rack of ribs, like 20 something
Oh wow.
sandwiches, and we were all selling that every week, every Saturday. And then all of a sudden, this pandemic came, and we just shut it down because I didn't want to go out to the market and buy everything. So from March 2020 until around, I don't know, it was like around October 2020 as well, we just stopped like that because we weren't doing anything. We were getting out. I didn't want to go to the market. I didn't want to do anything. I was still scared, but we need to get some. And it was the people, man. The people started asking like, what happens to the food and everything. And my best friend Juan, he's talked to me. He says like, well, let's do it. I can go to the market, I can buy stuff, and we can go ahead and relaunch this thing. And it was around, I think it was around September. Um, we came back with the food, but it's been hard, man. I mean, we're not getting the same numbers that we used to have. Some people, I mean, the people that try our food, they love it. They always like that. But we are a small business, and we are competing with some established places. There are like three or four places here in TJ, like big restaurants that offer the food that I make, and they have all the advantages of having that like big conglomerate behind them. And the thing with us is just we're just cooking from my backyard, and it's been hard, man. I mean, this past year was hard for us. I mean, we got hit hard, not only with the food. I mean, with everything. Working from home, like it was hard for that some time. And when you try to go and convince people to try your food when it's not safe to like have takeout or something like that, I mean, it's been hard. People are coming along. There are lots of people here in Mexico that are already going out and eating at restaurants. And that's another thing that's hitting us. We are like, you need to place an order, and we take it to your house on Saturday. And these restaurants, they just have to open, and the people just go there and eat. They rather have it right now than wait until Saturday, for us. And but the same thing happened. The plan for us, that was the beginning of this year. We're gonna have like a restaurant of our own, but because of the pandemic, that plan just went to shit. We just couldn't do anything else. So we're starting back up, and hopefully, we can get some people to eat our food, so some more people to eat our food, because right now, when it comes to being creative, right now, that's my outlet. That's right. Right now, that's what I do to stay creative. I shit you not, man. I listen to some music and I get inspired, and I'm like, I'm gonna make this recipe, or I'm gonna change that, and it's all because of music. I mean, I don't know. I'm 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 not used to like playing a lot right now. It's been a while since I play guitar or anything, and everything. My creative outlet right now is food, and that's what I'm just letting it all out there. And I want people to taste my food, and so they can see what other people can see, right? We're not just a fast food place or anything like that. I mean, everything, the process that we do to make this food is all artisanal. It's all homemade, and it's like having real barbecue. Even though I never had real barbecue. I imagine that's what it tastes like, because we're just some people from Tijuana that learn how to cook this
Right.
food, and from
Hmm.
what I heard, is like the same food that you can have on the
No,
states.
it's pretty good. It's pretty delicious, and it's about as best barbecue as I've had, which is surprising. But I see like the parallel you've had there, as far as like maybe starting the blues show in Mexico, and you getting the reaction that you did. Were you also surprised at how many people enjoyed the barbecue and in Mexico and TJ, and the response that you get there? Did you expect it to be, before all this shit hit, like as selling as much as you did, like so quickly? Did you expect people to like, oh shit, I want barbecue in TJ? Did that take you by surprise, or were you kind of expecting it a little bit because?
No, not at all. Because sometimes I have to cave. For me, it was all about selling like barbecue sauce and bourbon barbecue sauce, because that was like the like American style
Uh huh.
barbecue, right? From the South and all that. But, you know, being Mexicans, people were like, you don't have like habanero, chipotle, jalapeno, something that, barbecue sauce is supposed to be sweet. And people over here is like, no, 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 you should put some spice and make it hotter and everything. So Adriana and me, we just tweaked the recipe a little bit, and we added the habanero sauce. And when we started making habanero sauce, dude, people just like, they were all over it.
Wow.
I mean, they always wanted, like, it was great. I mean, people knew barbecue sauce in TJ, but that's what you put on like chicken nuggets or on the Western bacon from Carl's Jr. That was the that's what people knew about
Yeah.
barbecue sauce. That's it. Like boneless or anything. But all the places that you see in TJ, when they sell ribs or chicken wings or anything like that, they always have like, okay, we have barbecue sauce, but we also have like ghost pepper and jalapeno and raspberry jalapeno chipotle, and for me that I didn't want it to be like them. We wanted to stay original, or we wanted to stay true to the southern style of barbecue. But I had to understand that we do live in Mexico, and the people that are buying our food are Mexican. And if they want habanero sauce, we're gonna give them habanero sauce. But to be honest, I didn't think that people were gonna like it so much. I mean, it's my best selling sauce, habanero sauce,
Yeah.
and but it's barbecue.
Yeah.
I mean, people have tried it, and they always, I mean, they love that the habanero barbecue sauce. But for me, the style and the spirit of the brand, um, I think that when we started making the habanero sauce, we stayed true to the spirit of the brand. I mean, um, I started looking up different ways to incorporate that habanero sauce into American recipes, like rib tips, or like the sandwiches that we have. We have some fried chicken sandwiches and everything. And it's always trying to incorporate that Mexican side, because, well, as I told you, we are Mexican. So that's why we try to incorporate it. And the response was great. And it still is. I mean, as I told you, the habanero sauce is our biggest hit. And people do like it. I mean, we try some other recipes. It's like we're not telling bourbon barbecue
Oh
anymore.
yeah.
I mean, it's always it's only
Uh
by
huh.
request. If somebody wants to buy bourbon sauce, they have to tell me, and I just make them a little batch, and I just sell them that particular, like, style of barbecue. But I remember, man, I used to go to like little street fairs here in TJ before the pandemic, and it was me and Adriana. We just had our a little banner with the sauce, a table, and we put all the jars from the different barbecues that we used to have, and maybe some like fries or carrots and celery. And I remember that the people would come over and they will taste the food, and they're like, "I'll take two habaneros, three habaneros," and we just run out of habanero sauce, and we have all the bourbon like laying
Oh
around in
man,
there.
that's
So that's what. Yeah, I know. I mean, it's my favorite one, but I mean, we have to do what the people
you know
like,
it's
and that's why we stay true
it
to that.
is funny that you bring that up because um I ran out of sriracha sauce, right? The rooster sauce that they sell, and
Yeah.
so I wanted to buy. I needed to buy a new one from the market here. Well, they don't have the sriracha sauce. What they have is the regular, the regular one with the rooster. They have a Mexican version of it, and I'm like, all right, well, I mean, sriracha sauce is sriracha sauce, right? You can get it. So I bought a bottle, and it's called. Well, I'm not gonna say the name brand because I don't know what's going on, but it's made in Jalisco, and it's sriracha sauce. So don't get me wrong, but a Mexican made it. It's like it's not that much hotter than the regular sauce, but the intensity is a little harsher, and it's good. Don't get me wrong, but it's just a little different where they take the sweetness out a little bit from the regular sriracha sauce, and I'm like, yeah, you can. Like I was telling somebody, it's sriracha sauce, but you can tell a Mexican made it, and I think it's just funny how uh, you don't want to say stereotypes are alive and well, but yeah, it's like spicy food is it's a thing for for for
Yeah, and
Mexicans.
yeah, it's always like that. It's always like that with everything. I don't know, man. We have like the Mexican pizza. the Mexican pizza, instead of having tomato sauce, it has beans. It's like refried beans instead of tomato
Yeah.
sauce. And you have jalapenos, chorizo, bacon, onions, and that's what you have in a Mexican. I mean, you go to like a burger place and you have jalapenos. They always. I'm not into spicy food myself, but people in Mexico they just need to have hot food. It's always like that. It's been always like that. I mean, people go to Carl's Jr. and they get those little like the yellow chilies. I
Yeah.
mean, with fucking dude with Chinese
You eat
food,
ice
man.
cream like that, man.
If if you order like Chinese food over here, they give you your rice, they give you like your I don't know chicken or something like that. Big fucking jalapeno this big.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. It's just Mexicans. That's how we do it. I don't. That's how they do it. I mean, I am
Yeah.
Mexican, but I don't like spicy food. I'm sorry. I failed as a Mexican on that.
on that uh on that aspect, which is weird. It is weird.
Yeah.
You're uh one of maybe three Mexicans I know that can't that just doesn't do spicy food at all. Um, which is that's all right, man. It's a little quirk. It's a little quirk, but that's all right.
Yeah, I mean, when we were making the habanero recipe, I couldn't try it. I mean, I used to make the sauce. We had the recipe, and Adriana, my wife, is the one that tastes it. She's the one that sets the bar. She set the standard for the how spicy the food is or the sauce is. We just developed a new mango habanero sauce for our chicken wings. And dude, I'm making the sauce. I came out with the recipe for that, but I can try it. I mean, I just by smelling it, my eyes get all teary. And so I asked Adriana, it's like, is this good? And she's like, okay, that's good. That's okay. Okay, no, that's too much. Or she's the one that set the standard for how hot our sauces are, because if I try it, I mean, for me, everything is too hot. So that's why it's good that Adriana is by my side,
Yeah.
like to give the seal of approval for spicy food.
Yeah, man. I mean, I guess you gotta be careful. I mean, if you smelling it makes you cry, dude. Oof. I mean, we gotta. Yeah, you gotta be careful. Where?
Yeah, for me, I'm the worst for spicy food, man. I mean, I can handle tapatio sauce.
Yeah.
I'm just like that. I'm not made for that.
Oh man, that's just that is funny. Where? How fast do you think? And I'm asking you like as because you were a big. Well, to me, I think you were a big part of the music scene in TJ. And this is one of the things I think that a lot of people don't realize that at least when you were um, playing out in TJ, how many great musicians there were in TJ, and what a lot of cool venues that there are in TJ. Do you see any of that coming back? Is there any word out there as far as possible any of your friends that you used to play with? Is anybody like ready to go and start playing out again? Anything like that to make TJ great again?
Well, I hope. I mean, I've been a little disconnected from the local scene, but I don't know, man. You meet people from all ages, right? I remember I was 19. I was 19 when we started Lavia back in 2003, and everybody was always talking about the scene in the 90s. Everything, everywhere that we played, every time that when we were starting, it was like, ah, man, I remember back in the 90s, it was a great scene, and we had all these great bands, and everything was great. And then it just came to a stop. I think Lavia is like the perfect sample of being at the right place at the right time. When we first got together, it was 2003, I remember. And at the same time, there were other bands that were coming along with us. And we all started around the same time, 2002, 2003. And it was like this second wave of music being made in TJ. But it wasn't all like rock. It wasn't all like reggae or something like that, which was big in the 90s. All of a sudden, we were all like, all these indie bands started popping everything everywhere in TJ. And we all became friends and we started making our own scene. We were looking for venues, we were looking for places to play. And some people right now are big, they have big names right now. And I feel proud that I was part of that on the beginning. So right now, 18 years later, I'm starting to see some other bands that coming along right now. The bad thing was that they were hit by this shutdown and all the venues started closing. I remember when here in TJ, we only had like two places where we could play music. It was um, La Bodega de Papel, which is like the paper. What's
Warehouse.
bodega? That was like a store. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like the paper warehouse in downtown. That was a venue that we used to play. Um, well, it was Mofo
Yeah.
also, and some little places that we used to have, and that we started like looking for some other places where we could play. And right now, because of this shutdown, a lot of places had to close. One of my friends had a venue in Revolution, and he had to close it down a couple months ago. And that place was bringing live music back to TJ, man. Memo, if you're listening to this, you should get back to that because that was a great venue, and he was doing his part on bringing live music back to TJ. And I don't know. I mean, we went to some places, like Rio Rita, where that's where we met. I think on Rio Rita when we launched our CD. But right now in Mexico, I think that, well, in TJ in particular, the intention is there. There are some venues that are started to play like limited attendance shows and everything. And I really hope that the music scene comes back because I was there. I was part of that. I was part of a big movement here in TJ that kickstarted this new wave of bands and music styles. And I mean, I feel like we did our part to get the music back to TJ, because everything was Mexico City, everything was Monterrey, everything was Guadalajara, but there wasn't a scene in Tijuana like it was in the 90s, right? Like everybody used to say. And because of that, I feel like right now they need to start looking for some places. I mean, it is possible, for 7 years that I played on that band, we were making things happen ourselves. We were not waiting for venues to call us or we used to make the gigs. We used to oh, let's go to this place and ask them if we could set up and play here, and they will let us. And or house parties. We used to make a lot of house parties, with our friends, and that's how it came to. I mean, all of a sudden we were playing festivals. all of a sudden we were like going to Mexico City, going to Juarez, and everything came out from that. I mean, we were all making our own bookings. We, I don't know, maybe right now with like social media and internet, it's easier to book a gig somewhere else, but we didn't have that back then. We only had like MySpace or something like that, but everything was word of mouth, and we were all always like we used to rehearse on Saturdays, and Monday to Friday we were looking for places where we could play and making those changes so that we can go out and play. And not only us, you know, all the other bands that used to play with us back then, like Triste Jovin and a lot of bands from back in those days. We just couldn't stood still and just wait for shit to happen. You know, we had to go ahead and do it ourselves. And I think that's I don't know, people is too comfortable just like being famous on Instagram or something like that. So I really do hope that some of the promoters here in TJ or the bands or the owner, the bar owners and everything, they just open up for that possibility again because we used to have a great time here in TJ. I mean,
Yeah,
you
we
were
did.
part of that. Yeah, so
Would you say that that work ethic that you had in those early days that somehow helped you and translated over to the radio show and to what you're doing now, as opposed to not knowing what it's like to have to hustle all the time? Do you think that some of that hustle was applied to the other avenues of your creativity as well?
well, yeah, because I mean, what I learned from being in a band all those years ago is that things just won't happen by themselves. You have to make it work. You have to work to get those things, you know. I mean, I feel I don't know, man. It's weird for me because when I was living all that shit like 15 years ago, I wasn't aware of the changes that we were making or the movement that I was a part of. I just wanted to play. I just wanted to hang out with my friends, make some music, and play live shows. When I look back now, I do know that my work ethics and what I do to stay creative is it's all because of that. Because I'm not gonna wait around and just wait for a radio station to call me or for somebody to offer me a podcast or they ask me to play in a band. If I want to make some music, I'm gonna get my guitar and I'm gonna start practicing again and I'm gonna start making my music and like, hey, here it is, you know. And same with the radio show. I know I have a good product, but if I hadn't made the call to the station manager, I wouldn't have got that answer for me to start the show again. I had to do it myself, and that's what I think people need to be doing right now. I mean, we know, we understand that right now there's a pandemic and it's not the same liberty that you used to have. But I mean, you can still do it. I mean, there are some venues that aren't opening up here in TJ. I don't know about like San Diego or anything. I read that they were starting to like have little live shows again, live music. I hope it comes back because that's another whole. That's a how do you call it? That's a whole different animal. Like the San Diego
Yeah.
scene. Uh, for us, we were so lucky, dude. You don't even know how lucky we were to start playing in San Diego. And that was another thing that came for from us doing our stuff ourselves. I don't know. So for some people, they would think that, well, yeah, you have the record contract, or oh, well, yeah, you have the contacts in San Diego to play over there. But I mean, it all happened because we were trying to get all these gigs and to know all these people. I mean, it wasn't by chance that we knew transfer when they were like hitting it big, man. I mean, transfer was well still is for me my favorite band from San Diego. But back in those days, I mean, back in 2006, 2007, they were fucking big. And from we if it wasn't for the sound engineer when we recorded a demo, we wouldn't have known transfer. I mean, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that.
Yeah.
Simple as that. We wouldn't be doing this podcast if back in 2006 we weren't looking for gigs in San Diego, or we weren't looking to get something like a studio in San Diego for us to record a
Yeah.
demo. I mean, everything has to be done by ourselves, and I think that's what they need to do right now.
I so it's a great point. There is a I just there's this. Here's how big I think that hustling and doing you go out and doing the legwork is important. Uh there's this painter, right? One of my favorite painters. He's Spaniard from back in the day. His name is Francisco Goya. I'm sure a couple of people know what it is. He's got this really famous painting. He's got like these trilogy of paintings, but his most famous one out of this trilogy of paintings is called the Third of May. El Tercero de Mayo is the one where these guys are standing in front of a shooting squad, right? And they're getting shot, and uh, um, they're in front of a firing squad. Now, well, the reason that these things got commissioned is because Francisco Goya, who was already a well-renowned painter at that time, went to the government and say, "Hey, I got an idea for a commission. You guys want to do it?" You know, and it's even that guy was hustling and understands the importance of doing the footwork. And I think it just brings it on home of how to get things done to achieve certain things. You just can't sit uh, on social media in front of your phone anymore. I mean, you got to go out, and I think hopefully when this is all over, you can start going out. People be able to do some legwork and just hustle a little bit more to get your work done. I think that's a great point to drop off here. The Do you plan on? I mean, there's a rumor going around. There's this band. I don't know if it's right. The Hudson Hawks are coming out. I don't know. I don't know. But do you plan? Is that something that you would want to do as far as possibly, aside from just jamming or something like that? Maybe once this all gets um, cleared up, is uh, is being a rock star or playing out something that you would want to do again? At least on a smaller scale. Now that you're
Well,
you're a family man and you got responsibilities now, where do you see yourself in the music scene, if at all?
I always love playing live, you know. But one thing happened to me when the first time I went into a studio. The first time I went into the studio and we started recording our songs, I just fucking fell in love with producing and recording and creating in the studio. So I remember when I was in another band, we shout out to Vagabundo in, and the cool thing about this band is that most of the members we were in big bands before, so we were kind of over that live music scene, and we just like to create and record. I do miss playing live shows. To be honest, I don't miss like carrying amplifiers and drum sets and playing for beers and having like four people over there only in the show play for 45 minutes and then load the van again. I know I already did that. And I mean, I don't want to sound like an asshole, but we got to a point when we didn't need to do all that,
Yeah.
you know. The but I do miss it. I do miss playing live shows. And the thing about this band, I mean, I don't know if we can tell the story about the Hudson Hawks. Um, I was just fucking around, I remember I'm a big fan of like 80s and 90s
Yeah.
movies, right? And I remember one time I was watching that Bruce Willis movie. I'm a big Bruce Willis
Oh,
fan.
yes.
And I remember like I was watching TV. It was that's my creative process, man. I get inspired by the silliest things. And I remember I was watching the movie and I'm like, Hudson Hawk, the Hudson Hawk. And then I was like, the Hudson Hawks. That's a great band name. And I just put it away in my, like in my memory. I remember I was
Yeah.
telling you about it, and you were on board, man. I remember that. I remember that conversation. We're like, "Fuck yeah, the Hudson Hawks. That's fucking great." And you used to live in San Diego, then LA, then Phoenix, and we were always talking about making
Yeah.
that band. And for us, I mean, in our minds, the Hudson Hawks are already, touring and having all
There's,
these great live
yeah,
shows
there's a
and everything.
documentary and everything in my head, too.
Yeah, I know exactly, but it was just something that I thought it would be nice. It's like someday I'm gonna have a band. It's gonna be called the Hudson Hawks, and we're gonna play this type of music. And right now, it's happening. So I really, I mean, I am excited about this project because this is the first project that I'm in. I don't know, I don't know, like 10 years. And I remember we only have like a few jam sessions, you and me, but getting
It's
that
not
vibe
me.
again of
It's Juan
creating music.
Minuto. Juan
Oh,
Minuto and you.
that's right. It's Juan Minuto.
Yeah.
It's not you. No, it's Juan Minuto and
Eddie G.
Eddie
Black
Black
Eddie
Cat
G. Yeah.
Eddie G or something. Black Cat Eddie G. That's right. And I mean, well, for those guys, what they tell me is that when they got together and they started jamming, and because we've been talking about the Hudson Hawks for like
Yeah,
eight
it
years,
really has been about a minute.
yeah, and to like really have it like physically being made for me is the first time on my creative life, like a musician is the first time that I'm like, this is mine, this is my project. This is what it's in my head, and final people. I mean, Labia and Vagabundoin were also my bands, and I love playing with them and creating music with them. But this is the first time that's like, this is what I have in my head, and this is what I'm gonna play, and it's all gonna be made by our turns. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's might sound crazy or something like that, but I hope that we could get some live shows, man, and I hope that people in TJ, I don't know if they're gonna remember me. I don't really care, but I mean, what I do want is for people to recognize that the music that's being made here in Tijuana is great fucking music. We want to be like it was to be like 15 years ago when people was looking over at TJ as a place for great music. And I think we can go back to that. And if we can play some live shows and support the local economy
Yes.
that way, once we get vaccinated,
Yes,
of course,
absolutely.
Yeah. So I do want that. Of course, I miss the after parties. I miss, yeah. I mean, it was a great
Yeah, it
experience,
was.
but it's not what I'm into it right now. It will be good
Mm.
at least one time to get an after party like the ones that we used to have.
Just to get it
Hopefully,
out of the system.
Grandpa Drew, if you're listening, yeah, Grandpa Drew, if you're listening, we need an after party at your place, man. We need a fucking Halloween party at Grandpa Drew's after that,
Yeah,
man.
I bet we need the Halloween party at Grandpa Drew's. Hopefully, I'm not sure. If, hey, fingers crossed for this year. I don't know if it's going to be this year, but I think maybe it's just I don't know anything, but wishful thinking that hopefully for sure next year, Grandpa Drew gets a crazy Halloween party. Like in case you guys don't know, uh, well, Grandpa Drew's on the list to be on here. Grandpa Drew, if you're listening, you're on the list to be on the podcast. I hope to talk to you real soon as well. But Grandpa Drew's known for many things, many things. Among them is throwing probably the best Halloween party in San Diego, and that is not an exaggeration. I want to say that that's not a hyperbole. That's not an exaggeration. It's probably uh, uh, it's definitely the best Halloween show in San Diego, which makes it puts it in the running for a best Halloween party in the world, as far as I'm concerned.
Dude, I mean, we have some crazy parties in here in TJ. I remember most of them, but I don't know, man. It was something about the after parties in San Diego after a transfer show. It was something special, man. I mean, and it was because of the people, man. I mean, it was great. There was a sense of community back then, and we were experiencing that in Tijuana as well. I remember all the bands being friends,
Yeah,
and we were supporting each other, and we went to each other's shows, and we used to buy our merch from the merch for these other bands, and we were supporting and all the step every step of the way. And in San Diego, what happened when we became a part of that scene, which for me was fucking crazy, when we started like being regulars on the San Diego scene, I couldn't believe it, man. For me, that was my fucking Carnegie Hall, man. I mean, when the first time we played the Casbah, for me it was like I'm done, man.
yeah,
For me, it was all that, and not only that, not only to play the Casbah, but to be able to hang around with all those people. I mean, for me, it was great. I mean, and not because this is your show and I am on like fourth shot of whiskey right now, but everything that we did back then came up to this fucking moment, man. That's what I can get my head around. From all the great friends that I have from those days, um, I'm always grateful that we stayed in touch, and we were able to find a common ground on like the blues and bourbon and tacos and whatever. I mean, it's like I don't know. It's weird how two people can be so much alike, but they didn't know each other
yeah.
before.
It
And when we met, it was like that was fucking crazy, man. I mean,
it. I mean, it really was, and like you said, it the people don't. I think one of the things that I've been trying to drive home here in the podcast, and one of the things I even started it is you've said it, and you've said exactly what I've been saying is that all this derives from community, and not just some sort of crazy like all this. luck and chance. It's really is the fact that it's a community. We supported each other and have the same vibe and creative vibe. And there was so many people that were legit just folk out there that we all had a great vibe out there. From a lot of it stemmed from that old studio, the Black Box, and a lot of bands that played there were exactly what you're talking about. The community, they all hung around each other. They went to each other's shows. They bought each other's merch. They went to all the other after parties, and they treated me like I was part of them too. They did a community art show sort of thing for me at one point. They invited you guys to their shows. You invited them to your big show that you guys had. I remember on Revolution, um, that street fucking show that was pretty fucking cool. With oh man, what was the name of that? The big band that came by the
It was two big bands, and then Transfer, and then Labia. It's Santa
yes.
Sabina, which was a huge band from the 80s and 90s here in Mexico. And La Barranca was the other band, which was also a big band. I remember when they invited us to play there, it was a big festival. And used to be this guy here in TJ called Octavio Hernandez. Uh, may God rest his soul. How do you say it in English?
Yeah,
Descansa
rest
en
in
paz.
peace.
Yeah, he sadly passed away a
Oh
couple of years
wow.
ago, but he was a big promoter of music here in TJ. He used to have a radio show on the same station where I
Uh-huh.
have mine, and it was all about local music, and he was always promoting, and he was the one that gave Lavia our big break when we were starting up. He brought us to his show. He used to book us gigs, and when this festival came along, he invited these big bands, and the only band from TJ that played that night was Lavia, and I always want to be grateful for that because that was the biggest show that I ever played in my life, man. I mean, it was crazy. It was like I don't know how many blocks were there of people. It was like 5 blocks or something. And I know they weren't there because of us, but all those people were listening to our music. And I remember when they asked us like, "Do you know any bands from San Diego that want to play with them?" We immediately said like, "Well, Transfer, man." And I remember that was one of my favorite Transfer shows that they ever played here. And it was, I don't know, man, it was fucking huge. I remember like we have the stage right next to Nelson. It's a great bar, and the stage was right there. And I remember looking up when I got there. I remember when we showed up for sound check. You don't see the magnitude because there's no people there. So we were making the sound check and everything. So when it came time to play, I remember Transfer opened that show. They played and it was fucking great. And then we came up. And I remember looking up and looking like I don't know. It was like 4 or 5 blocks of people. I don't know if people have been to Revolution over here in TJ. It's a long fucking street. It was like 12 blocks of Revolution, and it was like 4, 5, 6 blocks all full filled with people. It was fucking great, man. It was one of the greatest shows that I ever played. I think it was the best show that we played with Lavia when it comes to like the people that were there. And I remember we sounded good that night,
Yeah.
man. It was a great show. And but what came for that is that it was a great show to play, but I don't know the bond that created between Transfer and Lavia from that gig on. It was just that's I feel. that's when we became like close friends, you know. And after that, we got to hang out with people from San Diego and in Tijuana. And there was a couple of months when it was like one big scene. We were bringing people from San Diego. The guys from San Diego were asking us about bands from Tijuana, and that's when a lot of bands from Tijuana started playing in San Diego. I mean, because of that show, I think that it opened up a lot of possibilities for bands here in Tijuana, for them to go to expand and play in places like San Diego or anything like that. I mean, it was because of that show. And I think there was another gig like that a couple of years later, but it wasn't like that. It was like the first one that was like really really massive in the street here in Tijuana, and it was all because of Octavio. You know, like he was the one that came up with that. And then we had some other gigs in Secut, which is the big ball here in Tijuana. You know, like when you cross from San Diego, you can see it. Over there is like a big movie, like an
Yes.
IMAX theater, but it's in the shape of a ball. We have some gigs in there too, and it was all because of Octavio, man. And he was a great part of why the music scene in Tijuana was
Yeah,
so
man.
big.
That I was about to say that show was put together very well. It wasn't a lot of times you think like, oh man, it's just gonna be a shit show. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't expect it to be as big and as well organized as it was, and it was. It was. Hey, everything went smooth. There wasn't any, as far as from me looking in. I don't know how it was behind the scenes, but from what I was able to catch, everything was just. It was really well put together and managed well and promoted well. And we need. I think we need things like that to make TJ great again. Um, which kind of leads me to the next thing as far as you mentioned podcasting, of course. And one of the things that I think should come of this thing that we're doing is that we're going to start a podcast in Spanish, Los Perros Perdidos. And I think part of the podcast is the community, but somewhere along the lines, it's dedicated to making Tijuana great again. And I mean, and I think I look forward to being able to start promoting more of the art scene than and the creative scene and the vibe scene in TJ. Besides just tacos, I mean, start talking about.
Of course, well, we are going to talk
Oh
about
yeah,
tacos,
I mean
obviously.
that's never gonna go away.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, yeah, that too. Community as well.
Yeah, community. But we'll talk about. You know what, man? I'm gonna have my taco man come on the show with us, dude, and talk about tacos. That's how big a deal it's gonna be, man. Uh,
Yeah, I know. I know. I mean, the new podcast. First of all, thank you for making it in Spanish because I don't know. I feel like I haven't I haven't spoken English in like so long. But the thing about this new podcast that we're going to start to produce, it's I don't know, man. It's like having all these conversations from back in that day, and to be able to. This is what I think. This is our share. This is our job right now to promote people from Tijuana and to promote the art scene and the music scene and everything to put Tijuana back in the map. I mean, there are people that are doing that right now, but I think that if I'm not able to play some music or to have a different project or something like that, I think that this podcast is gonna help a lot of people that don't know how to get it started. You know, um, it's great that we have this technology right now where we could just talk shit and people are gonna listen to it. But when you have a purpose and not just doing it to get some laughs or to get sponsors, which it will be great, right?
Yeah.
But we're not doing it. We're not doing it for
No, I
that.
mean, I'm just hey,
Uh,
as long as I get sponsored by my taco guy, I'll be happy.
yeah, sure. I mean, we hopefully, well, we can have an episode where you can have your taco guy and my taco guy,
Oh man.
and
Yeah.
because I mean, and it's always about that. I remember when you started, um, well, the last time that we got together, um, I don't know, maybe over here we always take for granted what the community does for you or the community role or making a place great. And I think we take all of them for granted. Like in your case, like you're calling for a guy to build you a desk, but it has to be a guy from your community. Or if you get your tacos, it has to be a taco place from your community. And people don't have that here. That sense of community, for me, in Tijuana, it got lost a couple of years ago, and everybody was doing things from themselves, but not for the community. When I was talking about earlier that we were looking for places to play, we were looking for people to listen to our music, we were also doing it for the other bands. And the other bands were doing that for us. And there was people that was looking for places, looking for venues, looking for people to listen to us, but to listen to all of us, not just them. And I feel like right now, since you can have your phone and you have your Instagram page or your podcast and everything, and you're just doing shit for yourself. And I think that with this, well, particularly this podcast, the Common Rule, and Los Perros Perdidos, it's also gonna be like it's we could okay, you have your neighborhood and everything, but Tijuana is a community,
Yes.
you know, and that's what we need to learn. I mean, we're not gonna have people just from my neighborhood. We have this city, we have this whole city, and there's a lot of people that have something to offer, and we just want to give them that space so they can get people to know them and people to know Tijuana. Because we need to get it back. I mean, making Tijuana great again, not to be quoting that other guy that used to have a similar catchphrase, but we do need to make Tijuana make again. I'm sorry, make Tijuana great again. And I think we're going to do it. I mean, it's just going to be our part. We're going to do our share. And hopefully, a lot of people will get inspired and they started doing the same. And hopefully, I don't know, maybe next year we can all have like a big fucking festival or something from
Yeah,
Tijuana, man.
that would be amazing. And hopefully there's a crossover as well too, like it is the back in the day where uh, things happen across the border on a more regular basis um, than before. Well, man, I think that I'm gonna. I think we're gonna save it for this. We're gonna have a part two, hopefully, and be able to continue our conversations and give them an update on on TJ and how that goes on. Hopefully, here in the next couple of months. Man, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Um, and let them know about your barbecue. Again, I'll put all the links on for your barbecue uh, on on the show notes for sure. But uh, as far as how you run your business, let them know a little bit in case somebody's listening here. In case you want to come over and get some barbecue once this all pandemic, you basically cook Friday nights, Saturday mornings, and deliver or and available for delivery.
Yeah, we deliver. We deliver on Saturdays over here in Tijuana, But if you want to get like the barbecue sauce that we sell, you can look for us on Facebook or Instagram as Black Cat Bone Barbecue Sauce and Black Cat Bone Barbecue Ribs and Sandwiches. We can hook you up, man. And I'll take that Pepsi challenge with that shit from Amsterdam
Any day.
any day. So I mean, I can assure you, man. I mean, you're gonna like the sauce. I mean, if you like to purchase that, we have all the information on Facebook and Instagram, and we can make it happen, man. We can send them over to the states. I mean, we'll figure it out. But thank you, Danny. I mean, we talk every day for the last, I don't know, 6 months,
Yeah.
and everything is always great. But right now you put me in a hard spot for speaking in English for like 2 hours. But
It,
that's what I do to you every time we talk in
it'll be
Spanish.
my
You know,
turn
so
on the podcast in Spanish. Your English is way better than my Spanish, so um, but don't.
I'm really sorry for your
Yeah.
listeners. I'm sorry, but it's been a while, man. It's been a while. Don't try to speak to my supervisor because he's not available right now. So thank you,
Yeah.
Danny, and hopefully we get part two. And you may not realize this, but ever since you started the Common Rule podcast, I wanted to be in an episode so fucking bad.
Oh wow.
So thank you.
Thank
So
you,
thank you,
man. I
man.
really appreciate it, and thank you guys all for listening. I really appreciate it. I will talk to you guys soon. Stay clean, stay healthy, get vaccinated as soon as possible, so we can all get drunk together at some sort of after party somewhere soon. You
That's
know,
right. We need to open up the border so that the Hudson Hawks
Ex-
can play in some San Diego
exactly. The Hudson
shows.
Hawks will be coming to your local neighborhood dive bar soon. Thank you again so much. I'll talk to you guys soon, and enjoy your youth.
All right.